So it's been a while since we've been together,
It
huh?
sure has. Yeah. Welcome back.
Yeah, for sure. How are you?
It's good. It's good to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything new going on?
It's been an exciting morning in my world, as most of them usually are. Life
With
of a
little kids
working
running
mother
around.
with two
Yeah.
toddlers.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
actually, my this morning I discovered that my bathtub was draining out onto my porch.
Ooh.
So I walk out on the porch, and from the bathroom, there's just water streaming onto the porch.
So what'd you do? Take a bath on the porch?
Yeah, no, I called a contractor immediately.
Oh,
It's
man.
like, I think I have a problem. You know, the stucco's all wet in the bathroom.
I'm sure it'll be a cheap fix.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Leaks coming from your bathtub going into the front yard. No problem.
Isn't home ownership
No problem.
grand?
Oh, it's the money pit. Did you ever see the Tom Hanks
I
movie,
have
The Money
seen,
Pit?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
I
That's
live in the
all.
money pit. My house was built in the 40s.
I think we all do. I think we all pretty much get
It's
that.
ubiquitous
right?
home ownership
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. You know, I've decided that if I had to live my life over again, I would just buy new houses and stay in them for 10 years and then move again. So you
Interesting.
never have to do any of that stuff.
Interesting.
No remodels.
This is our new financial
No
advice
nothing, right?
to you.
Just keep jumping houses like lily pads, like frogs on a lily pad, and just always stay in a new one.
It would certainly cut down on the issues.
For sure.
Wow. Here we are.
Welcome to A Place of Possibility. We're happy to have you here. I'm Richard Del Monte,
I'm Angela Wright.
and we thank you for being with us today.
What are we talking about today?
Well, you know, one of our major themes for this year is going to be getting your financial house in order. And so that has to start with, in some place, and it's got to be goal setting, right? And so when you're doing goal setting, you have to look at what are your resources that you have that you can apply to achieve your goals. And so those things would include things like your cash flow. How stable is your cash flow? Do you have a job that goes up and down with the economy and it's kind of hit and miss? Or do you work for the government and you're going to have a paycheck until the day you die?
Yeah.
That's a big important one. And then your assets and liabilities. And
Yep.
also your you have to set up a budget, right? Most people have a hard time with budgets,
Yep.
but you have to set one and be willing to hold yourself accountable and keep reviewing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are parts of it. And so when you get done with all that, then you have to come up with an action plan that you're going to implement, and you're going to review it every so often, periodically, and make course corrections as needed.
Makes sense.
Right. So, but it also involves having to do this with a spouse or partner, marital partner or otherwise.
Sounds easy.
And so, what
could go wrong?
Yeah, what could go wrong for sure. So, we're going to be sharing the kinds of topics though that you're going to want to talk about in those meetings as you go forward with your spouse. So, they're going to be all things like, what do we want to do, and all our goal setting, how are we doing, and all the checkups and all that stuff.
Yep.
But, whoops, my mic. But
The Italian's coming out.
there it is. I'm already throwing it up. Yep. Well, what can go wrong?
Yeah. So, I mean, imagine talking to your partner about money. A lot of things go wrong. Most people were not taught as children how to have these crucial conversations. And when they devolve into conflict, as they often do when it comes to money, most partners don't know how to get themselves through that conflict and back into the conversation. I mean, think money has so much that comes along with it. It's a super personal thing to many of us.
Right.
And it causes a lot of conflict. So what do you do if this is you?
Well, and you're first of all, you're definitely not alone. That's one thing we want to let you know. Everybody has problems.
Yeah.
We all understand that, and nearly half of all marriages end in divorce. And the biggest reason, one of the two biggest reasons, is money.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so these are vital conversations to have, and you can avoid the problems. We want to show you how to do that.
Yeah, but so many couples avoid even having this conversation. Like, many of us were taught that talking about money is taboo. Like, my parents would say, we don't talk about money or politics at the dinner table. And so many of us are even coming from a place where it's like, we just can't talk about this.
Yep.
And often we wait until there's a problem, right? Like a spending or a saving problem to approach our spouse. And at that point, everybody's defenses are up, and you're headed right for a conflict. You can't, see.
So you don't think it'll go well?
I don't think it'll go that well.
Yeah.
It's a blame game, right?
Can, right?
Like when there's a problem, we immediately seek to blame, and we will look right at our spouse and say, "You're
Right.
the problem." And
Right.
off we go.
And unfortunately, many couples know that's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's kind of the almost, promised thing that's going to
Here we are telling them it's going to
We know we're going to do this, so they don't even try.
Yeah.
They don't even bother. And so we want to help you with that and help you get past that almost seemingly impossible roadblock.
Yeah. So we're going to do like a 2-part episode here.
Yeah, that's right.
It's-
So this one's going to be about how to deal with having good conversations with your spouse and getting past the roadblocks. And then the next episode will be about the nuts and bolts about how to do it.
Awesome.
Right. So to do that, we have as our guest today, we have a guest.
Yay.
And it is a really good friend of ours. We've known him for many, many years. Andy Bryce. He is a family therapist that was trained in Canada. He's worked for 10 years with troubled teenagers that lived in residential care facilities. He's also gone from that to working with families and couples. He does a lot of counseling. He's been around the world. He's done work with families in Europe and in the U.S. and Canada, Australia. I'm sure there's more places. But we just have had him working with us, with our families that are having issues and conflicts and trying to make progress with their succession plans, etc. And we just found him to be a super valuable resource. So Andy Bryce, welcome to A Place of Possibility.
Welcome.
Hi, thanks, Richard. Thanks, Angela. It's great to be here. I miss you guys. Miss being together and working with people. So
yeah, he's coming to us from the UK today. So what time is it there?
It's just after 8 o'clock in the evening.
Okay. Well, thank you for staying up late for us.
Well, yeah, it is getting close to bedtime for old folks.
We'll do our best to keep you awake.
I feel that way sometimes at noon too.
I'm ready for a nap. I don't know.
Okay, so you've previously said that people's backgrounds are a major obstacle and that limits people's ability to have these difficult conversations. Can you talk about that for a bit? What do you mean by that?
Well, most of the adults I work with are often running their lives based on decisions they made before they were 10 years old. And so you can come from a background where it was dangerous to say anything, have an opinion, or you can have a background where everybody is very kind of restrained, and we don't talk about things like politics and money at the table. And then you can have, like Richard, come from an Italian family, and you talk about everything really loud.
Many times over.
Yeah. So if a partner is raised in an emotional home, their technique is more explosive, whereas another one, their partner may not be comfortable with that. And what happens is we start having expectations. Like, I know what you're going to do. I know what you're going to say. If I open this door, this is a can of worms, not a door. This is going to explode. You're going to do that. I'm not talking. So we run a few trials, and after we've been together for a while, we know what's talkable and what isn't. So now we can get expectations. We are trying to achieve something, so we have intentions, and those can be blocked as well. So a lot of that comes from a child point of view, maybe 5 or 6 years of age. There was an experience, they made a decision, no one listened to them, no one told them, that's okay, be this. And they can be 50 or 60 years old, and still that is defining how they behave in certain situations.
Interesting.
Yeah. And how does each spouse's expectation affect how these conversations go? Like, what have you seen in your practice?
Well, I have one couple where the husband works and earns all the money, and he earns a fair amount of money, but his wife has this fear of losing everything. So there's never enough. It doesn't matter if there's a bank account and a house. She's comparing. We don't have what they have, and so he feels unappreciated. She feels afraid, and that has nothing to do with what's actually happening in their lives today, because they're like lenses like these, they're looking through them. And as you may know, we filter for evidence to prove what we believe. And if I believe there's never enough, you can't make enough.
Hmm.
Yep. Makes
So
sense.
is it like baggage that comes with us into our marriages? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, you can't take it on a plane, but it's just
I
as
take mine all the
concrete.
time on
It's
the
my
plane.
constant companion. What do you
Yeah,
mean?
what do you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
that's
got
right.
it right there with me.
Well, I think Ryanair is going to charge extra for that.
Baggage allowed.
Yeah,
That's
emotional
good.
baggage stored over there. The other thing is, I think, too, is we get competitive, and a lot of times couples um, don't want to let the other one be right. And it's especially if you're both working or one or the other are working in a place where you have to compete. You're working for your life, and you want to win. But if you come home and you have a conflict there, then winning is not going to be healthy for the relationship. It's going to leave scars.
What about power? Is that a big factor in relationships? And how do you see that play out?
Well, I think a lot of couples go into relationships, and it's something that I've found a lot of times, is where I actually feel like I have to give some part of myself up to be in a relationship. So what am I sacrificing?
You don't? Sorry, just
Oh,
kidding.
sorry. Was that a button? Was that a hot button there?
No, it was just a,
Yeah. So if that's something, I'm going to be defensive about that, and I'm going to want to have some power or some say in things, and that can lead to competition, being right, making the other person wrong. There's a difference between being correct about something and having the right decision and being right, because when you're right about it, you make the other person feel bad, feel wrong. It's like rubbing a puppy's nose in their dew. It's not really effective.
Right.
not fun either.
No.
So is the emotional reactivity that comes up in marriages a lot of times in these conversations, is that about powerlessness?
Well, yeah, I think we experience it as frustration, and a lot of times frustration looks like anger. People get. I remember when I was playing golf, if the ball went anywhere other than where I wanted it to go, which is usual, I might get frustrated, and I would be like, like this. But then a friend said, when you get angry, your game improves.
Huh.
So and this was 20 some odd years ago, and I thought, oh, what's the difference? So anger, actually, when you get angry, your muscles are more coordinated. Your vision gets sharper. So I would hit the ball straight and further.
Huh.
But since I've been filtering for this information, I've been working with people, and what I've found is that frustration is the physical and emotional experience of powerlessness. You're not listening. Nothing I say goes in there. Nothing I do is enough. And we get frustrated. That looks, quite often physical. It's an emotional experience, and that can really affect any possibility of a conversation.
Yeah. It seems like it. I mean, when I experience my spouse as frustrated or angry, I completely shut down in that situation. But it's interesting to think that, instead of me receiving them as angry at me, I could actually look at them as somebody who's feeling powerless. And that changes my perspective on the situation and my empathy for my spouse. So can you give us, I think this could really change things for a lot of people. What are some of the telltale signs that someone is feeling powerless, either in ourselves or what might I see in my spouse?
Well, sometimes we'll get loud. I'll start yelling, or maybe I'll cry. I mean, I cry like that. So, leaving the room, just slamming doors. They're just not going to do this. We're going to avoid the whole thing. And there's physical signs. If they're feeling powerless, you don't ever hear me. What I say has no value. You might hear those kind of things. Why bother talking to me? You're just going to do what you're doing anyway.
Never heard that before. So you're basically saying that if we typically would experience our spouse as being angry, but in reality, that's just a symptom of their feeling powerless. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, and also control is a function of fear. The more fearful we are, the more we need to feel like we're in charge or in control. And unfortunately, we shrink our reality down to what we can control. So fear triggers control. Control makes things smaller. And it's just like the absolute opposite of what you really want, which is to feel stronger, more open. I was just talking with someone about the term vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, vulnerable for most people feels like open to attack. But a couple that is vulnerable is actually open to emotion and feeling that empathy, like, oh, you're really upset. I didn't mean to do that. What's going on? Tell me what that's about. It's not common, because what I've found is very few families, and working with you really emphasized this when we were working with families, several generations. There's no system or method where they can disagree safely.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I think it's almost a national event now.
Almost. Yeah. I think it's probably.
It is our national pastime.
I think we've arrived
isn't
there
it?
by now.
But
yeah.
you know, that's like I heard growing up, do as I say, not as I do.
Yep.
Like, there was not a lot of space for me to express myself, especially if the emotions were anger, fear, etc.
Yep.
Yeah, and we are often raised to meet other people's expectations. So we get pat on the head for being somebody's, idea of us, and then we get criticized for being who we really are, and that can make you doubt what you about to say, or do I really know, and what I want or who I am, and you get into a relationship, and that can be very difficult for your partner to deal with.
Interesting. So, we've worked together many years. We're helping couples and families resolve conflicts. And we've seen how easily it is for people they're having a conversation and they can just veer off very quickly and get into the weeds. And then it becomes a fight about who's right, who's wrong. Nobody wants to be wrong. And so, what is it about being right? Why is that so important with people?
There's even a turn of phrase, right? You can be right or you can be happy.
I think that's one of
I think there was I think there was a book published by that name. It's well, in fact, is it okay if we go over the 6 ways of being right?
Sure, but what's underneath it? Why do people do it?
Well, we just spoke about some of the reasons. One is if I'm in control, then I'm right. If you're right, I'm not in control. And I think one of the things I've noticed is that when we don't listen to understand, we listen to be right, to correct, wait till they're breathing, and then we'll just get in there and tell them what's really happening. And so listening to understand is so different. But we think, many people I run into actually think that if I understand what you're saying, I'll have to agree with it.
Oh, interesting.
And so why would I want to do that? So it's not true. You can understand someone, if you have little ones, they might say 2 + 2 is 5. Well, you understand completely. You just don't agree.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But once we get up and we're talking about how we're going to invest or where we're going to spend our retirement, it might not be something you want to give into, surrender to. It feels like you're being told what to do. And so feeling safe, is huge. And control is a function of fear, which is sort of the drive to feel safe. And And I think one of the number one things I've run across in my career is how valuable it is to feel heard and accepted for who you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's such a gift to give your partner.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it is.
Yeah.
And so let's tell people, so that they can have a baseline here, about the ways of being right, the 6 different ways that we identified in our work together and have taught some families. And I think it's interesting, as you listen to Andy, you might notice some things that you do in being right behavior.
Yeah. So number one is I declare myself right. I'm right. That's it.
End of discussion.
That's
We
it.
all
That's
think
it.
that, by the
I mean,
way,
that's
I
it.
think.
Then that's the go to your room. If you're going to be like that, just I'm the dad or I'm the mom. You've seen that as a child, maybe. The other thing, the flip side to that is you're wrong. I'm right, but then you're wrong. How dare you be so wrong? I can't believe you're that wrong. So it's like, how could you get that wrong? That's not possible. Then that would be a good example of number 3, where we're dominating people by physically invading their space, by raising our voices, by yelling, and just any way you can possibly dominate. The fourth one is avoiding domination, which is where you hear the doors slam and the chairs suddenly empty, and or they just shut down. Like a lot of teenagers silent. Will just kind of go inside, and a lot of us who may have had intense emotional childhood or some physical violence will just shut down and withdraw, and it's sort of triggered by whatever's happening today, but it's really a reaction that you brought with. Then fifth, we can do all the Googling to justify my position. I have gone through, Bing. I've got 457 pages.
I did my research.
Yes.
It's a common one lately, isn't it? Did you do your research?
Yeah, you did. I did my research. So that's number 5. And number 6 is I did all the research to prove you're wrong. It's to justify my position is number 5, but number 6 is just to invalidate. So you said this, and I found 77 posts that actually prove you don't know what what you're talking about.
Yeah. Interesting.
And we all do this stuff, right?
Yeah,
like, what's
we totally
yours?
do. Mine is, I cross-examine my wife, so I'll do the thing like, and I think I'm making sense. I think I'm totally, so like, it's
so
logic, right?
your thing is you're invalidating her
like
position.
I'll say like, okay, so, you're saying this is the case today, but you remember last year when you said just the opposite was the case? Were you wrong then or are you wrong now?
Oh, Richard.
And I think I'm making sense. Like I'm pointing out to her, like, where is that coming from? Or whoever else I'm talking to. And what is she thinking? That guy is an idiot.
Yeah. He's not listening to
jerk,
me. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's yours?
I tend to shut down. I will walk away from the conversation. I didn't have an overly emotional or abusive childhood, but I just forget it. I can't get anywhere with you. I'm out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So if you hear, if you ever said something like, you don't know what you're talking about, that would be invalidating their position, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And then if you say, I can't discuss this with you, that would be avoiding their domination.
Well, and also implying that you're not quite bright enough to get this.
Right. Yeah. You're so stupid.
Clearly you don't understand what I'm trying to say to you, so forget it.
Yeah, that's one that people...
I think that's a common one around money conversations too, because sometimes you have one partner that is more adept at this kind of stuff and one that's not. And the dominance on that happens quickly.
So you get the clearly.
Let
me explain this
well,
to
actually.
you. Yeah.
That's my personal favorite. Well, actually.
Well, actually, yeah. So I just had a conversation recently where this fellow has been for 30 years planning his financial retirement and everything. And so he has all the numbers in his head. And then his wife's parents died and she inherited $1 million. Now she has all more money than he will ever imagine having, and he thinks, her intelligence financially is that of a gnat.
Oh boy.
So it'll be an interesting journey to bring them together.
I bet she loves that.
They're lucky they have you.
Yeah, no kidding. So Andy, what
Well,
happens
we'll see.
if an upset that between spouses or partners, is there and it doesn't get resolved?
Well, that is funny you should ask, because basically this is another tidbit that we won't publish too much, but I think we basically have three ways of getting upset. One is, I have an intention of getting, retiring at this age, and you just messed that up entirely. You blocked my intention. I wanted to do this, and because you've done that, it's not possible. I'm angry. Or I expected you to earn way more than this. Now I'm disappointed in you. So they're quite different. And the third one is undelivered communication. So when we have one of those two things and we don't talk about it, then we get frustrated, as we talked about, which moves to resistance. I'm just not going to play this game with you. And after that, I resent the hell out of you. You always, and things like ...
Yeah.
And then the crowning glory of repressed, aggression is revenge. And we get revenge in subtle ways, because it's anger driven. Now we've gone from frustration to bottled rage, or
So it's war.
Basically,
Revenge is basically war, right?
Yeah. Being Italian, I was thinking you were going to go right to war.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, okay, what is the key to not moving into resistance, resentment, revenge? What is the key to resolving this?
Well, having clear and open communication, having it be safe to disagree, to have two perspectives, to be able to work them through. Like I was saying, it's absolute gold to feel heard. In the honeymoon phase of any relationship, people accept the other person. They're just, nothing can go wrong. And then something happens and there are socks on the dining room table. And, it's just like, I didn't see that. And so we, often the baggage we bring with us has emotional reactivity. And when we get emotional, people get the message of the emotion, not what we're trying to say. And then we react. So I'm all upset, and now, one partner can be teary, but the other person could then be angry about the tears. So now there's no chance of communication. So I think just the emotional reactivity, the lack of understanding or vulnerability, and the practice of having a safe way to talk through something. I think this, well, I think that. And we think, well, that means one or the other of these positions has to be taken. But if we open up and discuss it, we could actually find several more options better than either one of them. But if they're not discussed, then you'll probably default to one or the other.
I feel like for me, getting things off my chest and actually having that be heard by whoever I'm talking to is super important. It just, even if the person doesn't solve my problem, just, and we've done that in our business partnership, right? Like if I have an upset, I come to you and you've done it to me, you've said you've used the technique we're going to show, and it's just like, poof, it all goes away. It's remarkable.
It really is.
It really is. Yeah.
I think the experience for women too sometimes is that we often we vent and be heard, and then our partners will come in and try like, oh, I got to solve something because you guys are you're so good at fixing stuff.
That's what we do. We solve things.
And just being heard is like so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because when we try to fix you, the only message we're really giving is you can't do it yourself.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to tell you how I was feeling. I didn't want you to go down there and punch the guy.
Just validate me and tell me you can do it, babe.
My wife tells me all the time, I don't want you to solve my problem. I just want you to listen to me.
Yeah.
Let's model how these conversations sometimes
All right,
look.
we're going to do that.
Example?
So we're going to show you how one that goes awry.
Yeah.
And you got to pretend now that we're a married couple or whatever, a long-term partnership, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're embroiled in a conflict over how much we should spend on gifts to our family members and friends. And so my position here, Richard, is that we should spend at least $150 per gift.
What? $150 per
gift? I mean, you can't really get anything, like great for less than $150
all the
these
people
days.
we have to give it to, we have weddings, we have birthday parties,
weddings
all that
especially.
Stuff.
I mean, we should be probably spending more than that on weddings. But
how much is that going to be? I mean, that's a ton of money.
I mean, I know we have a lot of people in our lives, but I believe that, we've been blessed with abundance and we should be generous.
Please, the abundance thing again. What is why can't we just take care of ourselves? We can't afford to do
Richard, that is so selfish. How could you be so selfish?
You, of all people, can say that to me.
Yeah, of course I can. I'm the one trying to give generous gifts to our friends and family.
Yeah, okay, right. And I can't even get to go out and play golf once or twice a month.
No.
Ridiculous.
I mean, no, because you need to be spending time with the kids. You have spent so much time on the golf course. You don't need to be out golfing anymore. Gosh, you're an idiot. You don't even listen to me.
Why bother listening to you? You don't say anything important.
He's like, stop.
Okay. So see how that goes? It's crazy, right? It can go
I don't
off track. So fast.
Yeah, I mean, we have all four horsemen. If you follow Gottman, we got all four horsemen of the apocalypse. Name calling, there's contempt, there's rage. I forget what the other one is.
Oh, yeah, right. But it's all there. You can feel it.
Yeah.
Andy, how do we do this better?
I'm still enjoying that. It was marvelous. It was authentic.
Clearly, we've never had this conversation with our own spouses before.
No, I don't have any experience with that at all.
For rookies, you did really well.
For rookies, yeah.
So, well, as you know, we have a perspectives conversation,
right.
Actually a method, which at the beginning can feel a little stilted. It's like something where we associate conversations like you just had as firing across each other's bow. You're not listening. You're bang, 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 bang. Everything is going back and forth. So what we do is start with one of you, and that who's that going to be?
It'll be Angela speaking first.
Okay, so Angela gets to say what's on her mind, and Richard, you don't interrupt. You don't answer anything, but you give her enough 5, 6, 7 sentences, not too much, but what you can remember, and then you ask her to and you give it back to her as she said it. You don't change a word or what you really meant was this. It's what you said was. So ask if you can repeat what you heard, repeat it back, and then you ask, did I get that right? And we chose this because it's not like right or is that what you said? Did I get that right? It's respectful. Then did I miss anything? Because sometimes we'll give them back, but we miss out a point. So then Angela gets to say, well, yeah, you missed this. And then you repeat back what you missed. And then the next question is there more? And knowing Angela, there's more. So we
attacked.
Okay.
See, that's my passive aggression right there. I can do this.
There you
Not
go.
wrong.
Okay.
So if yes, you repeat until it's no, and we'll take the next step. So
Okay.
Angela?
We're shuffling papers around here. I just want to say we actually have a script of this that we use with families when they're learning this. That's why the papers are shuffling around. Okay. Richard, I'm feeling really angry that you're not willing to spend a little bit more money on gifts for our friends and family. And I think specifically, I'm just really worried about being ousted from our friend group because we're not giving nice enough gifts to people. Like, I don't want to be the cheap family.
Okay. All right. So, and it's important to stop these early because you can't remember everything. So what I heard you say was you're feeling very angry because you feel like we're not giving enough gifts, and you don't want to be the person that gets ousted from groups because we're not as generous with them.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yes.
Did I miss anything?
No.
Is there more?
Always.
Always, yeah.
I think, I really just feel like I work too, and I should have a say in how much, and you just keep shutting me down like it's your decision only. But don't I get a say as well?
Okay, so what I heard you say was you work too, and feel like I keep shutting you down, and that you should have a say as well. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
No.
Is there more?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So what I heard you say was that I'm going to summarize this whole thing. He didn't say this, but I'm going to summarize it. So overall, you're very upset because you want to be able to give more gifts to other people because you don't want to get ousted from our peer group, and that you work too, and you should have a say rather than me just having a say in who gets how generous we need to be and who gets what. Mm-hmm. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
No.
Is there more?
No.
Okay. All right.
Well,
so Andy,
well
what
done.
what
So-
comes next?
So now you might be able to say, now that I understand your perspective, I can understand how you feel.
I
and
think
I
we say
would-
if I was to look at it from your perspective, we ask if we have the perspective right?
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So so if I was to look at this from your perspective, Angela, I'd be thinking, we have these friends, we want to nurture the friends. One of the ways that I do it is to be generous with them. And so it helps me feel more connected to everybody. And I feel like you, Richard, are stopping me from being able to be generous with my friends. And you're potentially cutting me off from our friends. Is that how you're feeling?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Do any other feelings come up for you?
I think I'm feeling kind of afraid of what might happen if, we don't be generous with our friends.
So you're afraid of what might happen if we're not generous?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm afraid.
Okay. And any other feelings come up?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Andy,
So
what's next?
now that I understand your perspective, I understand how it made you feel, and I'm truly sorry.
Okay. So Angela, now I understand your perspective, and I understand how this dialogue makes you feel, and I'm truly sorry for making you feel like you are disconnected from your friends.
Thank you.
What if I don't feel sorry?
That's probably because you haven't had a turn.
Okay, all right.
Well, remember
Okay.
what he said before. Acknowledging somebody's feelings isn't an admission of like that you agree, right? And
Yeah.
you can be sorry that I'm feeling hurt.
Right.
You love
Okay,
me.
okay,
You're
yeah.
sorry I'm
Right,
feeling
right,
hurt.
right,
You're not.
right.
You may be thinking I didn't do any of that to you.
Right, right.
You're too sensitive.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can still think all that stuff,
Right.
but you are
Yeah.
sorry that I'm feeling
Yeah,
afraid.
I don't want you to feel sad
And
or
that's
feel
true,
like you're
right?
cut off.
Right.
Of course,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Say
right,
what's
right,
true.
Right.
So we haven't actually achieved agreement,
No.
but we
No.
have achieved empathy, and that's
Okay.
a good step.
Yeah.
So if Richard,
Okay. All right. So now it's my turn to go, right?
Yep.
Okay. So Angela, I just, what really comes up for me is I feel like we are so generous with our friends that, and I think if I was to be truly honest, I feel like you care more about your friends than you do me. And so that's kind of what's underlying this whole thing is that, your focus is on them. And I'm sitting here, I'm your spouse, and I feel like, you never really spend any money on me. You don't buy me any gifts or anything. So these people are getting thousands of dollars of our money, and I get nothing.
Wow. Well, what I heard you say was that you feel as though I'm so focused on being generous with our friends that I'm leaving nothing for you, and that we're spending thousands of dollars on them. And, I'm not spending any money on gifts for you. And did you say that it's like I don't care about you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
I might not have, but that's what I think.
You
so.
think that? Yeah. It's like I don't care about you.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
You did.
Did I miss anything?
Well, you didn't miss it. but there's more.
Is there more?
Yeah,
Tell me
there's
more.
You know, I just want to, I want it to be a balance. You know, I just want to know that you care about my feelings about this and you're willing to listen to me, and that even if we don't change what we're doing, as far as the generosity we're spending to our friends, that you at least understand my perspective and you're a little bit more sensitive to it rather than just dismissing it.
I see.
Yeah,
So what I heard
yeah.
you say was that you would like me to be more sensitive to your perspective and
Right.
listen instead of simply dismissing it.
Right. Yep.
Did I get that right?
Yep.
Is there more? There's
Nope.
more.
Nope. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did I miss anything?
Nope.
Okay. So overall, what I heard you say was that I am so focused on being generous with our friends that I'm leaving nothing for you. And it's presenting to you like I don't care about you or your needs at all. And you're looking for more balance in the way that we're generous with our friends and with each other.
Right.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Did I miss
Yeah.
anything?
No.
Is there more?
Nope. You got it.
So, you know, Richard, if I was to look at this from your perspective, I might be feeling kind of unloved and rejected. Is that how you're feeling?
Yeah. The shoe
Yeah.
kind of fits. Yeah.
Yeah, you're feeling
Yeah.
unloved and
Yeah.
rejected.
Yeah. Maybe not rejected as much as not appreciated.
Not appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do any other feelings come up for you?
I just feel like you don't care that you don't care.
Do you also, in addition to me not caring, you think I don't care that I don't care? You
right.
feel that way?
Yeah. Like you're too busy. You know, you mentioned you have your job and everything, and you just got a lot going on, and there's no time for me.
So you're saying I have a lot going on and there's
Right.
really no time for you,
Right,
my
right.
job
Yeah,
and stuff.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other feelings come up for you?
No, that's it.
Yeah. So you're feeling like I don't care about you and like I'm busy with my job and I don't care that I don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything
Right.
else?
Nope.
Gosh. Well, now that I understand your perspective and how I made you feel, I am truly sorry.
Thank you. Okay. So that's kind of how it goes in a nutshell.
Yes, but Richard, do you feel differently now that you've had than after, you know, you were the listener and you still had a bit of energy on it? Is it different now that you've been heard?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. This is kind of, this isn't a real experience, you know, but I mean, we've done this in our own lives, and it does, you know, with our spouses and people we're having upsets with, and it works. Like, tell me, I mean, it works like a charm, doesn't it? It's amazing.
Yeah, we have watched, you know, you can physically see people soften, the shoulders relax and the jaw unclenches as somebody is reflecting their feelings back to them. And it truly is. And I think there's this level of vulnerability. Like, you know, the words that he was using with me in this were very different than the ones he was using when we were arguing.
Right.
And I saw that he's a person who's hurting. But earlier, you know, he was just throwing accusations at me. I couldn't see that hurting person. And so again, we haven't come to any sort of agreement, but we've softened to each other and we're now more prepared to try and forge something with an understanding of each other.
There's an openness and a cooperativity that happens now, because we have a new kind of relationship, right? It's more vulnerable. It's vulnerable, like you said, and risky.
It's actually malleable.
Yeah.
Before it was two rocks, you know, just banging.
Right.
But now there's potential for change and shifting.
Yep. We see people when we help people facilitate these conversations, we see them crying, hugging each other afterwards. They come in like fist clenched, and they leave hugging, crying, and a whole new relationship. And some have come back and said, we never had a relationship like this before. So just this one little easy technique is so powerful.
It is, and some people will say, well, it feels like it's not easy or flowing and it's stilted. Well, it is, but it's still something that once you get used to it, it is a really useful and transformative style of conversation.
Yep, for sure. One thing that I think we made it seem a little easy because we've been doing this for years and years, but it's really hard to listen, right? Listening like that, we all think, oh, I'm a great listener. You are not a great listener.
Practiced, and I just started zoning out as you were talking. I missed something you said, and I've been practicing this for years.
That's okay, I missed it too, so it doesn't really matter. But
it's super hard.
You know, it is really hard to listen, and so you want to get these in bite-sized snippets, right? Because you can't.
Yeah.
You know, you think, oh, I go on for several paragraphs. You won't be able to repeat back even one paragraph without practice.
And often when we work with families, we have a referee. We'll have someone who's sort of guiding the couple. like I've been here, but I didn't interfere with it because you knew what you were doing. But
Right.
it's not always something you can just go, oh, let's do that, and then 20 minutes later you're back screaming at each other. The doors are slamming and there's one empty chair. So
Right.
it is very useful and takes practice and willingness.
Right. Andy, what happens? A lot of times people will go into this and they go for a while and then someone will just correct somebody, because the whole key here is not to correct them, right? If you're trying to get their
That's
world.
not what I said.
That's not what I said. You don't understand. So what happens if people do that in the middle of doing this? Does it just disempower the whole conversation, or what do you do?
Well, it depends what, if we have observed how one sentence can actually sink something that's been worked for a while. I think we were working with a family where that happened. So just realizing that we're human, and whatever decades of habit we've had before this conversation, perfectionism is not required. So having that vulnerability, okay, I got it, let's leave that out. And because this isn't, this is more like a tennis match, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's not one, then a return, that's it. What we've demonstrated so well is that there are two parts to it. But we had, I was just talking to someone yesterday who we had worked, not you, but with Mitch, where the conversation with her mother took 2.5 hours, back and forth of being heard on the next level and the next level before they actually did the hugging and let something that was 24 years old go.
Yeah. Which we've seen them happen. So in other words, you're basically, if someone slips and falls off the wagon and starts accusing or defending, you just got to get back on the horse, right? Just keep going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Forgiveness is good.
Yeah. We have some questions.
We have some questions.
Answer some questions?
You up for some questions? A couple questions?
Oh, yeah.
All right. You got one there?
Yeah, so this one says, COVID has impacted our finances greatly. Do you have any recommendations on how to help relationships during this unique time?
Well, what I've noticed is emotions have inflamed. Partly, we're spending so much time together. If you're not going off to the office, so this kind of what we've been doing. What I've noticed myself is that I'm quite isolated, family and friends on the West Coast of North America, and I'm in the UK. So doing what you can to get out, and it may not feel like this too will pass, but it's going to. We are going to look back at this at some point. So if you're finding yourself really highly intense and it's starting to affect your relationship, let us know, because you may need some support to get through it. But if you have the willingness and the vulnerability to recognize that this isn't you doing this is circumstances applying the pressure, and it's not your fault, and it's not so that's where the blame just gets thrown out the window, and acceptance is important.
Thank you. What if one of the spouses or participants just won't come to the table to have a crucial conversation like this?
Well, in our family work, I realized how essential willingness is, and if one of the parties will not play, then I don't think there's something you can force them to do. Where does that extend to? Is it a one thing? Is it one topic that this is not happening? But things like this and attitudes like that tend to generalize. And if some people say, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if there's an area where your partner will not engage, then there could be something deeper. And you'll need more help than just with that one thing.
Okay.
Don't force, no ultimatums. If you don't come talk to me, I'm divorcing
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Don't do that.
Won't bring open hearts, I don't think.
Well,
Ultimatums.
the thing with an ultimatum is usually do what I want you to do, or I'm out of here. And most of the time, it's well, have a nice life. You know,
See ya.
yeah.
Yeah.
So ultimatums don't work ever.
Yeah.
So, Andy, how can people reach you if they're watching this right now thinking, oh gosh, I need some help? What should they do?
Well, probably the easiest, because it's available all the time, is on the underline there. It's my website has a contact form. I also have a Facebook EFT, Andy Bryce. But I'm happy to talk with people and give suggestions. And if they feel like working with me, this is sort of why I exist. This is what I love to do, is to help people, one, find themselves and be that, and have relationships where they both thrive.
Can you, a lot of people aren't going to be watching this video. It's just going to be a podcast. So can you speak your email address so they can reach you?
Well, my email address is andy@tappingthrough.com.
Okay.
And my website is www.tappingthrough.com.
Okay, great.
And I'm happy to hear from you.
Great.
Thank you so much.
And we're happy
Andy.
to have you on. This was you've been a great guest. We appreciate this, the topic
Such a
and
helpful conversation.
your influence for sure, and your guidance.
Well,
So thank
you
you very much. We appreciate it.
All right.
Some of the information that we covered here is going to be in our book. So Endless Inheritance, that we've written, and this is available to you for free if you just log into our website, placeofpossibility.com. You can ask for a book, and it will cover that. And also, if you have a question, you can reach us at info@delmonte or placeofpossibility.com. I don't know why.
Give them the right website.
Yeah. Info@placeofpossibility.com. And also, if you want to make an appointment with either Angela or I or both of us, you can do that through the same site.
Yes. So next time we're going to expand on this conversation by giving you tips, questions, and actual agenda for having a money conversation with your spouse. And we'll share some examples of how some of our clients successfully do this.
Well, we're going to assume you fixed all your problems by then in 2 weeks and you're ready to go. Right?
Yeah, no problem.
That's right.
It's going to be a good one though. 2 weeks
it'll
from
be good.
today.
It'll be good. This is, it's very important to have. You should really, we recommend very strongly that you do this. So anyway, thank you for being with us. We appreciate your participation. We hope this was valuable. And until next time, you're invested and so are we.
Thanks everyone.
Bye-bye,
Take care.
everybody.